He didn't say it. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Number two. Thank you. The purpose of this meeting is to have a treasurer go over the tentative budget for 2018-2019. If I can have a motion to go into this meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I will let everyone know that we had several meetings on this tentative budget. Tentative means where we are tonight. Nothing can be changed until after tonight. It has to be completed and turned into the clerk by May 1. And there are a couple of budget workshops that I gave you a memo on. If we need two, we'll do the two. If not, maybe the one. Well, for sure the one. And wrap this up this month. So, if you would like, does anyone have anything short to say? And then I'll just have Ralph start. And we'll finish. Okay, thanks, Ralph.
As required by village law, the tentative budget has to be presented at a public hearing. That's the purpose of this meeting tonight. I'm going to read subtotals going through the budget. Board of Trustees, $24,448. The Mayor, $21,033. Treasurer, $67,815. Budget Officer, $22,650. Purchasing, $26,135. The Village Clerk, $273,161. Attorney, $69,000. Engineer, $20,000. Elections, $2,500. Buildings, $67,200. Central Garage, $61,632. Technical support, $29,925. Unallocated insurance, $130,000. Municipal association dues, $2,500. Judgments and claims, $25,000. MTA tax, $7,500. Contingency, $75,000. Central Communications, $271,419. Police Department, $1,117,325. Traffic Control, $11,739. On-street parking, $16,915. Fire Department, $159,023. Registrar, $1,000. Street Administration, $75,500. Street Maintenance, $395,725.
There's nothing on safety.
Safety was a area that was being used to charge when you go out and do property maintenance. That's not correct. It will be charged as an accounts receivable and added to their tax bills if they don't.
Okay.
So we eliminated that.
Okay.
Street maintenance chips, $25,000. Snow removal, $99,000. Street lighting, $85,000. Sidewalks, $16,300. Parks, $36,700. Beautification, $16,350. Youth programs, $10,000. Celebrations, $12,000. Senior Citizen Center, $10,000. No planning board anymore because that's down at the town. Storm sewers, $11,500. Refuse and garbage, $3,500. Street cleaning, $7,000. Benefits, $1,393,050. Serial bonds, $337,543. And reserve funds to set up various reserve funds, a total of $70,000. Total general fund budget, $5,087,088. Water fund, engineering, $5,000. Property taxes, $39,500. Contingency, $62,200. Water administration, $13,000. Purification and filtration, $305,500. Transmission and distribution, $57,000. Benefits, $89,846. Serial bonds, $82,954. Bond anticipation notes, $159,000. Reserve funds, $10,000, and a transfer to the general fund of $50,000. Under the sewer, engineering, $5,000. Contingency, $30,000. Sewer administration, $13,000. Sanitary sewers, $48,150. Sewer treatment plant, $483,334. Benefits, $150,957. Serial bonds, $169,039. There is nothing budgeted this year for bond anticipation notes since the last payment on the BAN was paid back on March 2nd. Reserve funds, set up $10,000. And two interfund transfers, one to the capital fund for $150,000, and the transfer to the general fund for $50,000. The $150,000 is equivalent to what we were paying on BANs, and we are aware of a large capital project in the sewer, and we're gonna transfer $150,000 to start to offset those costs.
Any questions to the treasurer? Again, do you have any questions?
No, I'm gonna ask my next meeting. I mean, it's more for the public to chime in and thought.
I'll probably bring it up again, but just before we close the public hearing, at the last meeting, I believe, I told everyone that there was over $4 million in assessments lowered. And since that meeting, I found another, through tax certiorariums, another little over $25,000 that the village had to pay different folks that we owed them because of the assessment. So that just keeps getting deeper and deeper, which doesn't help us. If there's no public comment, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing on the budget.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Ralph, I'll see you later. Thank you very much.
See you next time I'm in
We have a
town.
little work to do yet.
You don't have any questions.
So let's see, before we go into our next. Are we still on?
They're in the reorder.
Okay. May I have a motion to go into our planned reorganization meeting?
Make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, so this won't take long either. So as the mayor, I make the following appointments. Deputy Mayor James Ramus. Police Commissioner Brian Howard. Fire Commissioner, myself, Joseph D'Onofrio. Sanitation Wastewater Commissioner Jim Ramus. Street Commissioner Brian Howard. Recreation Commissioner, I'd like to have, as last year, the whole village board. Anytime you want to go down there, go down and, you know, suggest whatever it is you want to do with Mr. Falk. Water Commissioner Merv Livesey. Building Commissioner Barbara Murphy. Building Department Code Enforcement Liaison Barbara Murphy. Disaster Preparedness Liaison Barbara Murphy. Senior Citizen Liaison myself. Union Negotiations with the DPW James Ramus and Brian Howard. Police Negotiations Brian Howard, Barbara Murphy. Town Liaison myself. School Liaison Brian Howard. Mayor's Administrative Assistant James DeSalvo. No motion is needed. Well, may I have a motion for the following one-year appointments? The Deputy Village Clerk / Treasurer Anna Sierra, Budget Officer Ralph.
What about the attorney for village?
I'm not naming one. I'm not ready to. Deputy Village Clerk / Treasurer Anna Sierra, Budget Officer Ralph Walters, Bingo Inspector Police Chief, whoever the chief is, Police Chief. Fair Housing Officer Anna Sierra, Bog Metal Caretakers William Barron, Randy Mesh, Angela Tuslini, and James Raines.
Can I interrupt a second? In there, I must have given you the new one, has the minority business officer. right
Under
after-
that group?
Yes, under the fair housing officer, and it should be Anna Sierra.
Okay, I don't have it on mine, but there was different copies, and I've been moving mine around. So along with that group of titles and names, Minority Business Officer Anna Sierra. May I have a motion?
Motion to accept these nominations.
Motion by Trustee Murphy, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Ramus seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call.
Want roll call? Sure. Roll call.
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. A motion for, we have one 2-year appointment. The clerk and the treasurer and the tax collector are not up, but the one who is up is the purchasing clerk Barbara Mellon. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Ramus, may I have roll call?
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you.
I have a question on the
Sure.
attorney.
Sure.
We will keep our current attorneys now.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So I need a motion on the following. The official depositories for the village funds shall be J.P. Morgan Chase, HSBC Bank USA, and Orange County Trust, and Key Bank. The official newspaper of the village shall be the News of the Highlands, and when needed, the Times Herald Record. C, all regular village board meetings shall be held on the first and third Mondays of each month at 7 p.m. in the Village Hall, 303 Main Street, Highland Falls, New York, 10928. Bills and claims will be approved at each meeting. The official business hours of the village offices are 8:30 a.m. through 4 p.m. daily, except Saturday, Sunday, and holidays. The annual inspection of the village installations and streets shall be held in June of 2018, for which I'll make a date with both of you guys, usually a Saturday. The annual inventory for village fixed assets shall be held during the month of July 2018. The mayor shall be authorized to sign checks and disperse village funds in the event of an emergency or in the absence of the treasurer, the deputy treasurer, or the village clerk. The appointment of McGuey, Hauser, and Etzel, engineers for the village of Highland Falls. Reimbursement rate for the authorized use of privately owned vehicles shall be determined by the IRS guide. Rate for
Should
2017
be
is,
18, excuse me, that should be 18.
rate for 2018 is .545 per mile. 54.5 cents. That pursuant to section 281.1 of the New York State Bingo Commission Rules and Regulations, the bingo inspector, police chief, is authorized to act in matters pertaining to bingo operations for the village board in the village of Highland Falls. K, discrimination and harassment committee shall be Anna Sierra and Barbara Murphy. L, pursuant to Part 5600 of the Rules and Regulations of the Game of Chance, delegated to the following name officers the responsibility and authority granted to them by law in relation to the issuance, amendment, and cancellation of license, the conduct of the investigations, and the hearing, the supervision of the operation of games of chance and collection, utilization, and transmission of fees for a period of 1 year shall be the police chief and Regina Taylor. That pursuant to the village law 5-524.6, the Board of Trustees authorizes payment in advance of audit and claims for public utility services, postage, freight, express charges. All such claims must be presented at the next regular meeting for an audit, and the claimant and the officers incurring and approving the claims are jointly and liable for any amount the Board of Trustees disallows. Pursuant to Chapter 12-2 of the Code of the Village of Highland Falls, the continuity of government in the event of an emergency disaster shall be the following: Deputy Mayor James DeSalvo, William Barron, and John Willis. Deputy Fire Commissioners Ken Palazzo, Ken Conley, Eric Smith. Deputy Sanitation Commissioners Joseph Belladone, Anthony Palella, and Eva Perez. Deputy Street Commissioners Carlo Myers, Anthony Glue, and Randy Mesh. Deputy Water Commissioners Lisa Myers, Mel Jennings, and Arvell Brown. Deputy Chief of Police Tom Pitt, George Fallon, and Ray Mazeros. Deputy Clerk Amy Belladone, Lily Mims, and Anna Molina. And the Deputy Treasurer shall be Michael DeSalvo, George Biskup, and Harvey Green. May I have a motion for all of that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Well, I'll be back.
Trustee Howard,
I'll second that, sure.
thank you. All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Ramus.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Although, should I recuse myself on item K because I'm voting for myself? But aye.
Mayor,
You should.
Yes.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries. May I have a trustee move that after review, the previous adopted written investment policy be continued, which is, I think you all had it down in your box. It looks like this.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second, that policy hasn't changed, has it?
No.
I'll second.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Ramus.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye, motion carries. And I think last is if a trustee would, after, make a motion that after review, the previously adopted procurement policy be continued. Again, it's this document here.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor, may I have roll call?
Trustee Alward.
Aye.
Trustee Livesey.
Aye.
Trustee Ramus.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye, motion carries, thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn this reorg?
So
I'll make a
moved.
motion.
Motion by trustee Murphy, seconded by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And in a few minutes, we'll start our regular monthly meeting.
Did the board receive the
Yeah.
draft easement for the You need to get a survey of the easement also. And there should be a survey of the
You should do that.
You should provide the survey of this property. The village should do their own survey of what they consider their easement needs to be.
Yeah, because you have 50 feet wide, the whole parcel is only 50 feet wide.
Well, it depends on what you think you're gonna need. You can't really have a easement for the whole parcel.
But I'm just saying, it's only 50
This
feet.
is,
We have the
this is
small
what I
house.
came
Your
up with.
engineer should let you.
Should look into it, absolutely. That's what I see in there. That, no doubt. Only is
more
everything here is generally
They have
50
required
inches.
heavy surveys, so you should probably have. Yeah. I just don't want to pay for it.
That's the
Norwood.
only thing more or less. And I'm waiting to hear information, you know, what the engineer, our engineer.
No, I called in, connected with one before.
A temporary right easement.
Where are you gonna go? Okay.
Right, oh, absolutely, sure.
I don't know what
Yes, yes, right on time,
the
actually.
same width of easement to repair if you want to. Are you sure you should go? I would think you would.
You may have a meeting with the superintendent next week. I'm gonna
Get it
come.
in there.
Right? And then we have one with the GC this week.
Possibly, so get in there and repair.
Thanks.
Yeah, but, the region's deeds department states that. You don't want an easement over the town, that's for sure.
Our engineer should tell us about the easement.
Yep.
Yeah, should let you know the width that's needed.
Okay, so, did this, this.
Take my seat.
Concerning the property, that easement, I haven't pushed anymore. I want to have one more discussion. This should,
Me or
no, 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 no.
with the engineer?
No, 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 the whole job, the whole project. It's a lot. I know it has to be done, but
It's the village's issue.
I know.
How are you?
And a little tiny bit, I'm being told, real tiny, 1%. That's not, well, I'm just contrast sometimes.
Is there any way, since that property is, and really this is something that was discussed with the engineer, but is it possible to move the drainage pipe to one side or the other of the property if the property is on the other side? Get in there?
The properties are close, but that's still a good question because you just made me think. In the mid, here's a house and here's a house. Most of it belongs to his house, only a little bit to this house. But the pipe we're gonna connect to is his neighbor's house. Do we have to tear up these concrete steps? Or can we run the pipe down without disturbing the steps?
I don't know, that's a question for the engineer.
Yeah.
Because if you just, destroy the fence,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
It depends if the water problem undermines those stairs and it's hollow under now, but that's if the engineer figure out when he goes up there.
Be cheaper to do it.
We have another issue. Cemetery. We have three cemeteries, so it doesn't matter right now. The storm. Yeah. No, so that's, so we're being told that's ours. And I'm saying, I always try to get away with that. I'm saying, no, all those cemeteries belong to the town, which they do. And no one will dispute that. Well, I don't know. Is there a need? Is there, I don't know. That's something we're gonna talk about. You know? Okay. The town said, they were private. Everyone had to go over and cut their own plot. I remember doing it as a kid. Then, for whatever different reasons, lack of attention, yada, yada, families dying, no one's there to cut the grass anymore, whatever. The three cemeteries were turned over to the town. There's probably a document.
Yeah, there's probably.
You would have to, you have to see that.
It would be good to see the language in that, because it may very well identify exactly which is turned over. Are they located so they're located?
Well, we all try that. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's why we need people like you. So that's, otherwise we wouldn't need you. You wouldn't, so.
All right, well, I'll look at the general law, just context, and then if there's any paperwork.
Okay. It's a new issue. I haven't even, I just got it. Okay, so we rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing and remember our men and women in the armed forces and two local residents that have passed since our last meeting, Richard Brannigan and Pat Rydell. So it says welcome guests, so I will welcome Councilman Richard Perry here. I appreciate when he comes. Thanks, Rich. Any public comment on agenda items? I'll skip my comments, do them later. New business. Could we approve the minutes that were written at our regular meeting on the 19th of March, 2018?
I'll make a motion on that.
Second,
Motion by trustee Livesey, second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization for the mayor to sign necessary paperwork to move forward with the state and municipal facilities program for $140,000 for road park improvement administered by DASNIA. So this is the 140 that we've been talking about from New York State, and we've been doing the paperwork as needed, and this is just a continuation of that. So we'll get the money.
I'll move it.
Okay, motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh,
I'm sorry, opposed?
roll call.
You want roll call? Roll call.
Trustee Alward,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
and Mayor DiNapoli.
Aye, motion carries. Resolution, seeker resolution, lead agency for road park improvement program. Whereas on the 5th of March 2018, the Village of Highland Falls was notified by the State of New York that the village was approved to receive a State Municipal Facilities Program grant in the amount of $140,000. And whereas this grant is designated for improvements to Roe Park, and whereas pursuant to 6 NYCRR, this is a type 2 action under seeker. And whereas the Village of Trustees, the Board of Trustees is the only agency with jurisdiction authority to approve any rehabilitation work to be performed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees declares seekers lead agency for the State Municipal Facilities Program grant in the amount of $140,000. Again, this is additional paperwork that has to be done to keep it moving. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. May I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Another seeker resolution, negative declaration improvement to Roe Park, again, the same program, the same grant. This notice is issued pursuant to Part 617 of the implementing regulations pertaining to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described below will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment. Title of action, improvements to Roe Park. Seeker, Type 2. Description of action, rehabilitation to the pool, the bathhouse, the basketball court, the playground, the Little League field, and install goose deterrent. Location, Roe Park, the Village of Highland Falls. Reason, the intention of the improvement project is to renovate the facilities for community recreational use, youth programs, and social gatherings. No potential adverse environment impacts have been identified. All work to be carried out in accordance with the municipal law governing the procurement process with plans prepared by a professional. For further information, contact the mayor. There's a phone number. May I have a,
Can I say something?
oh, absolutely.
So, Elise, on this, we have a description of the actions. If we did all of these and there was still a few dollars left, how could we spend it on something else in Roe Park?
That would be governed by the grant language itself as to what you could spend it on.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm gonna make a general comment that it's likely if you have dollars left over, you could spend them within the park.
Yeah, because it was,
Same purpose of rehabilitation.
okay, yeah, because there was a suggestion about some kiosks around the pond itself, which would be a great learning experience for the kids. Trustee Livesey brought that up, which I thought was
The
great.
signage going around the pond.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if we,
That's not gonna affect your type 2
okay,
action or
Okay.
your secret.
all right, great, all right, thank you.
May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. May I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
trustee Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you.
And just for public knowledge, just to know that we're not gonna have his check next week.
No.
Okay,
Not the
so,
week after.
not the week after, or the week after that, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a while.
But, we shouldn't get off on this right now, but I'll say this because it's short. But,
And we'll finish it in the end of the meeting, because we'll talk about what we're
yeah,
gonna do.
but we are going to do some different words you could use, patching,
Right.
minimal work until we can get this granted to do the full-blown job. Next on the agenda is the resignation of a police officer, Jennifer Farrell, effective April the 9th, 2018. If we could accept her resignation, effective again the April 9th, 2018.
Motion to accept her resignation.
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a resignation of a part-time dispatcher, Courtney Shabil, effective March 31, 2018. Could we accept that?
I'll accept that, make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a completion of probation of a part-time dispatcher, Ms. Santiago, was hired on March 20th, 2017, with 52 weeks probation. She has now successfully completed her maximum probation period. Could we accept that?
Motion to accept.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Mayor Joe, I would just like to say, I think it would be fair to say how much Officer Farrell did in this community as a police officer, because she went way above her call of duty, doing things for this community with the children and everything else. She did a great job, and she will be well missed in this community.
So noted. Budget, resolution of a budget amendment for the year 2017-2018, whereas $191,471.78 has been received from New York State Office of State Comptroller, and whereas this revenue has been designated to offset the cost of paving project. Now therefore, be it resolved that due to unanticipated revenue from the New York State Office of the State Comptroller, the Board of Trustees approves an amendment to increase the appropriation budget A 5112-0200, street maintenance chips, and the revenue code A 3501, consolidated highway aid, for $191,471.78 for fiscal year 2017-18. Now, just for some memory, this is the roads that we paved last year. You remember that? This is the money that was in chips. So may I have a motion to accept the resolution as read?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried. Budget transfer of $3,300 from A 1990.1990 contingency to A 7989.0400 senior citizen contractual. Right now, the senior citizen budget is $5.99 over. And the treasurer is recommending we put $3,300 from contingency into the center itself.
You need a motion on that?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion on that.
I'll second that.
And I just want to add that you'll see on the bottom here, a lot of that, majority of that's gonna go to Orange and Rockland, Time Warner, Spectrum, and a couple other incidentals. Motion, and now may I have a motion is approved?
Aye.
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 Does Spectrum give them any kind of discount? I
Gives
know
them-
that's probably not.
Yeah, we're working on that now that it turned to Spectrum. Motion carries. Thank you. I need authorization to sign the municipal advisory service agreement. This is per the recommendation of the village treasurer. This is a company that we've been dealing with, Munistat. It's really standard also.
Ralph's
Motion to
happy with
accept.
it?
Yeah, it came from Ralph for me, that.
You have to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
You have to do it.
So is there a motion?
Yes, there is.
Motion by trustee Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carried. You have before you a village event form from the Town of Highlands Recreation Baseball Softball Opening Day Parade, April 21. The rain date will be the following week, April 28th, 9:30 to 9:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock in the morning, from Municipal Parking Lot Number 2 to Walnut Avenue. We could approve that. Insurance, everything's there. You have everything, Gina?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I want to set a public hearing for the county Community Development Block Grant for 2019 grant application. We'll set it for our next meeting, which is Monday, April the 16th at 7 PM. So a motion to allow that to happen.
Make a motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Could we pay the bills and claims for fiscal year 17-18 of $125,287.98?
I make a motion.
Motion by trustee Howard, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry, Jim.
No, I am.
Okay, motion carries, motion carries. Okay, we'll bring up, Elise, I saw some communication with you and the chief about the auctioning of our surplus equipment. So that won't be tonight, but probably next meeting.
Yeah, I did look at that proposed contract, and
Uh-huh.
I had no issues with it,
Uh-huh.
so long as we were getting the highest possible bid.
Yeah, which we can always turn down.
Yes.
Your public hearing, you want to set a date, tenant for the budget, another meeting? For your budget meeting?
Yeah, I was gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay, but I'll do it right
I
now.
know
You're
you
right.
forgot.
No, I appreciate that, thank you. So let's set April 10th, 6 PM as our next budget workshop. I think it's a Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh. I'm not gonna make it. I know, I gotta.
I tried, Merv.
I
I
gotta.
tried very
I
hard.
gotta-
It's okay. No, it's okay.
6 o'clock, you said?
Yeah, but wait a minute.
I can't make it.
Okay, that's okay, that's okay.
Ralph could do the 12th, the 10th or the 12th was,
Yeah, those were the two dates. I was saving the 12th in case we needed one more. So, that's okay.
And I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize, we're all busy. So, here's what we'll do. If anyone no one has an issue with this,
We have the 12th, so will that work?
I'm gonna do it right now. Okay with the 12th? Okay, so let's take the 10th and make it April the 12th at 6 PM. And if we need another meeting, we'll all find a time. Okay?
Is it the 10th or the 12th?
The 12th,
Okay.
the 12th. I'd like to have a motion agreed to that our budget workshop will be held at 6 PM on the 12th of April.
I'll make a motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Good. Good deal. Okay. Now, Charlie, I don't know what's been done with the list that I gave you about cars, but if I see his, if you see his report, unless they're disguised under another name, I don't see anything about cars.
I gave him the list, we had a discussion. Currently, our code addresses having cars towed. I believe we need to direct the attorney to draft a code change in order to have fines levied for unlicensed cars on private property.
So my understanding that there would be a fine, but the car would stay there. Until
Well-
maybe, if that's the case, maybe some written language that would allow us,
To escalate.
after three times of the fine going up, if that's what we agree to, then we can go in there and remove the car. I don't know. I don't know what we would wanna get in this business, I don't know.
Well, that's part of the problem. Towing is not practical because no one will tow and store these vehicles. And because they're on private property, there are issues there too. So at any rate, the long and the short of it, we need to address it within our code. And I think the financial disincentive to have all these derelict cars on your property visible from the street, which is part of the requirement, that might be enough of a deterrent to get them moved.
I can work with
Yeah.
trustee Murphy on this, just to make sure that, that everywhere in the code, if there are any changes that are necessary, are made. So that fees can be recovered via taxings. Just want to make sure that, I mean, that's typical in zoning and property maintenance, so I want to just check all the codes to make sure that can be done.
I just want to point something out though, because when I was on the town board, we were looking into sort of this here. We gotta be careful on some things, because some of these automobiles may be at college students in which the car was taken off the road while they're at college. So some of these vehicles that may not have a plate on them, there may be a reason behind that.
Well, I think it's been a long-standing practice in the village that if that car is covered, it's okay, even if it's not licensed.
The code calls for an unregistered vehicle, so you can have, I had a car in my driveway that I didn't turn in when I went out and got another car, and there was nothing wrong with it. And I got tagged, rightfully so, that was the code. It had no license plates on it, so it wasn't registered. So that's what it's still, that's what it is. Yes, Jim?
Just a question, and I don't want to take work away from Elise, but it is a consolidated function. Shouldn't the town attorney address the law or change the law as needed?
But the issue is that the town attorney cannot change the village code, nor can the town do that. So I would suggest that if you're gonna change a village code, the village attorney should do that and work with the village board to do that.
So it would turn into something like the property maintenance that we have
Why should it be
now.
consolidated?
Okay.
And number two, the building department / code enforcement can issue a letter to the property owner. Because I'm pretty sure in your scenario, you got a letter.
I did.
And my own father, who was donating a car after he purchased a new one, 2 days without a plate, got a notice in the mail. So it does happen, they can issue a letter. I don't know what the content of the letter stated, but it was probably that he was in violation of some code on the books. So I think the goal is not necessarily to create a revenue stream, but to get the cars and properties cleaned up, no?
Well, it is, but my problem is that there's at least in the village of Highland Falls itself, 65 cars. It's multiplying, it's doubling, it's like contagious.
And
That's a lot of cars in this little, small community.
generally, I think it may be New York State code that if you have 3 unlicensed cars, it constitutes a junkyard and you better be licensed as such.
Okay, I would like the two of you to look at this. Look at what we have, maybe a little bit of it, or maybe half of it, whatever, can still apply, but I'm sure there has to be new language now.
Yeah,
The board is, I can tell you this, from other conversations this board has had up here. We are tired of the eyesores. And sometimes, I hate to say this, it's too bad I have to say this, but fines kind of sometimes make people react. And so it has to be a good fine, and then it has to escalate from there. So keep that in mind, please. That's a point you said, where to put the car, the junkyards don't even want it.
yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm kind of not, unless the fine can make them come pay and then get rid of the car, otherwise they're gonna get another fine. You understand? It's messy.
It is, and certainly, you can issue letters under the current code. you can issue violations. The problem is if you can't get them towed under the current code, it's not working, no matter how many letters they get. So
Well-
increasing, modifying the village code to also impose fines is one way to address it. I would just remind the board that that's part of my opinion.
Yeah, look into this, we have to straighten it out. I'm sure there's other communities that have something going on that's similar, and maybe they have something, you know, the wheel doesn't always have to be invented, but you know that. So,
Trustee Livesey brought up the point, how would we address that? Should that letter be issued and somebody would come before the board and say, oh, that's my daughter or my son's
See,
car,
we
and
have-
they are at college, and
Or
we took
deployed.
it off the road,
Or deployed.
or deployed. So
Right.
are we gonna give them the opportunity to come and address the board for an issue like
the
that?
current law
Yes.
does, the current law does.
Yes, and it should continue to do that,
Mhm.
because if you're going to be issuing fines and you're going to be levying that fine if they don't pay it, they do need an opportunity under due process to address the board.
Mhm.
The consideration would be perhaps you say that's fine, but you know, 10 of them, 10, you don't have 10 children in college, or 10 people deployed, and you may want them covered. It's fine if they're covered.
Yeah.
I
would.
I think we could tell the cars that then, you know, what's stationary, what's
We need to correct it, okay?
planted.
Sure.
Because it's messy out there. All right, and all due respect, Charlie, the town's only gonna throw it back this way. Okay, because that's what we see going on every day. Well, that's what we see going on. So, if you guys would work on that. Now,
I have a question on real estate agents. I just, a couple of weeks ago, there was a fence in a yard that fell, and people would like it put back, because it's an eyesore, what I was told. Are real estate agents responsible for that, if they're selling their house?
No,
property owner.
Okay.
the owner is responsible. Someone owns the house.
Yeah, some of them are out of state.
They still own the house. And
Okay.
again, under your property maintenance code, you can fix it and leave the property.
I'm gonna call the person, and I'm
So-
gonna call the real estate company.
Yeah,
let them
and
know.
you just call
All right,
them.
I will, I'll take that.
So to continue on a little bit of what Mr. Howard just, he said broken fence, I have it here on my list. The other issue is, and I'm sorry, but I would like you also to work on this. Listen, the village, you know, it's like the snow melts and you see garbage, and that's kind of easy, we pick it up, I hope. But there's these larger things, like cars, we just spoke about, but then there's larger things. People are covering their doors with plywood. Now, is that what we want? Do we want doors covered with, do we want plywood covering windows? These are folks that are living in the house. Do we want that? Spraying your house with your number. My house is number 23, so I get a can of red paint. This is a true story, except it's not me that did it. And sprayed number 23 on the front of the house. Some of us know what I'm talking about. Should that be allowed? It looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. Broken fences. I have cars. Junk in the yard. Geez, I tell you, I could, junk in the yard. So, can we look at that to see if any of that has to be stiffened up?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the plywood.
Yeah,
doors.
you'll see them.
But we did have a brief, the building department and I had a brief conversation that relates to junk in the yard. There's one property that has had an old mattress on the private property. And it's been a frustration because if someone would just take that mattress and put it out for collection, it would be removed.
And the building department?
They feel that they don't have the right to
See?
physically go on private property and move the.
Say-
They may not have the ability to physically go on private property.
Oh, no, they can't
How-
physically go
right.
on.
But they can
However,
give a notice.
you know, if you have, you know, that could be attracting rodents, it could be attracting bugs. So it could certainly fall under the category of property maintenance.
Of course.
Right.
Again and again and again. Oh, am I the only one getting this? That's our answer that we hear all the time. Well, I can't really do it. I'm not supposed to do it. It's not in the code. It's not in the town code. Well, how about opening up the village code book? I don't want to go too far, but this is, it's aggravating for me because not only do I see it, the folks out there, and I want them to continue, come and tell me, that mattress, no matter, I don't know where it is, that's easy to solve. That's an easy one. And we,
All out to the curb.
Well, if I may say something, you know, and this will be part of my report for tonight, but, you know, we've been talking about this for a year now, really, for a year, and that castle up on top of 9W up there, we've been talking about that, and I just can't believe, in the village of Howland Falls, with the mess that's out there, that we're still sitting here a year later talking about this, and there hasn't been fines put out to these homes. I just can't believe after a year that people are still doing this.
You're
And
talking about the motel.
I'm talking about everything.
Oh,
I'm
they're
talking
doing
about
it.
everything that we're talking about. I mean, you know, when you talk about property maintenance, we say that probably at every meeting that we're at, and it's still, I mean, I'm not talking any offense to you on this, but I can't believe that there's not fines being submitted to these property owners where I drive around and, you know, you look at this and it's embarrassing anymore. It really is. And, you know, part of my report is about Annapolis, Maryland, and I'll get into that later, but I gotta tell you, for what we have here in Howland Falls, and for these people that have these homes that look the way they do, and they're not doing absolutely nothing to do with them, you know, is it the people in the apartment that's renting, or is it the property owners? And if it's the property owners, they should be fined. And I can't understand why it takes this long still, and we're still talking about, as the mayor's saying, I mean, something needs to be rewritten, or whatever we have to do, but we need to do it. And we gotta stop sitting here saying, well, there's nothing we can do about that. And
We've never said there's nothing we can do
Charlie, we've
about
been doing this
that.
for a year now. We've been doing this for a year.
We have had a
I-
lengthy
I-
list of property maintenance come
So,
before us.
But you know,
Alternatively, on the
Because-
item that you're talking about,
because
with the
of grass-
motel,
that's because
we
of
could
grass
board it
cutting.
up, but that costs the village money, and we have to wait to get the money back.
That's because of grass cutting. I'm not talking about grass cutting. I'm talking about, you know, you drive around and it's like horrible. I mean, some of these places, they got trash all over the places. Joe's saying they got windows boarded up, they got junk, they got everything. Forget about the grass, I'm not talking about the grass.
The list
That'll be coming up soon,
have
because they
been
won't cut the
given
grass
to the
next.
building department. Elise, do you want to, you know, just recount the process that they have to go through? It doesn't happen.
Well, Charlie, what
overnight.
I'm saying, there shouldn't be such a long dragging on process. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna know soon, because after this meeting, I'm not gonna ask anybody about this, I'm gonna get into it. Because I'm getting tired of this, and you know what? People come up to me and they say to me about their taxes and what they pay in this community, and they just shouldn't have to look across the street and see a house looking the way they do. And I've been hearing that for months from some of these people. And as somebody representing this community, and I got the same old excuse with them, well, we're working on it, we're working on it. They don't want to hear that no more. They don't want to hear it no more. So I'm gonna leave it for myself saying this, that I'm gonna start getting into it starting tomorrow. So I don't care, and I will definitely contact the board, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of 9W Hotel. Some kids are gonna end up in that hotel up there, and they're gonna get hurt. And we're all gonna sit here and say, well, you know what, the roof was caving in and everything else, and we should have done something about it, but we couldn't. And that's what's gonna happen up there, and there's no more excuses.
All
Anyway,
right, I don't disagree with one word you said.
So,
My problem, my first problem is the building department. My second problem is maybe we have to look at our own codes and stiffen them up. We can definitely
Yeah, we can
stiff
do
up
that.
the fines, because that, again, hopefully that makes people move. Now, I did give a list last week, Charlie, I've been here, sitting here looking for it, of the abandoned houses
And he's got that off.
And he's got that, but, you know, I wonder what he's done. Maybe he's done a lot. Maybe he's done a lot. I mean, I know of 2 homes, and if there's 2, there's 4 that have animals living in them.
The raccoons,
Animals.
dogs and cats.
Dogs, cats, birds, raccoons, chipmunks, squirrels. I'm not exaggerating here.
Rats.
The guy, his fault, he's the owner of the property, he sleeps in his car. Because he has to. Now, that's a whole nother big mess. Okay, but if I was his neighbors on either side or across the street, I'd be a little concerned.
Well, the Uniform Code, the Property Maintenance
Damn it.
Code of New York State, which all municipalities have adopted, is pretty strict in terms of infestation and rodents, etc. And the building inspector, the building department can go in, they can inspect if they think there's an issue. They just have to enforce it. Now, if you want to look at your own code, we've talked about increasing the fines. And we can do that. Although there's already a graduated increase depending on how many, you do have a due process where they can come before this board and ask for relief, and you have those hearings all the time. So if you want to actually impose even stricter regulations as to nuisance properties, you can do that, and we can work toward that. I guess my only comment is, if you've got already codes that aren't being enforced to your satisfaction, then increasing that by making them stricter doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna solve the problem, if you know what I mean.
No, I do know what you mean. I'll tell you what I think of when I hear you say that. For me, not you, you didn't say this. But it also, one could easily say it starts at 254 Main Street. In the front door, the second door on the right is the building department. All I hear is, well, I can't do that. Well, I don't know about that. Well, the town code doesn't say that. Well, the town code doesn't say that because it's a village code. So go to that book. That's all I'm hearing. That's, and no reflection on anyone here at the board. It's a reflection of the town building department. And I'll get criticized for this, but it's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. I have to be honest. I have to tell the truth. That's the truth.
I
Okay.
went in about the animals on Cook Lane. The parents are upset. Now, the gentleman who owns the house has passed away, and I was told you gotta get a private exterminator. So when I went back and talked to some of the people on the street, I wouldn't say they were joyous over the message I gave them. It's like, so our kids who walk up and down the street, something can happen with the animals in there, and the noise, and kids going in.
Again, you have the authority to board up, you have the authority to address it, but you have to go through the process of issuing the violations, issuing the appearance ticket.
That's my point.
So-
Don't tell me
You
about,
can't
But we're not
really
doing
say-
that.
don't tell me
Well,
about a private
that-
exterminator.
We're not doing
If you
that.
need to.
Well, it's not that you're not doing that.
But we just said something about having plywood on doors and windows, but now you're saying we have the authority to go board these up. So
If you
what are
have
we
a
looking
vacant
at?
property,
Just a
or a
vacant property,
property
so.
that is dangerous,
Mhm.
it's open to the public, there's no one living there.
Right.
So that's
you can-
different, so that's apples and oranges.
So
I'll,
you do have
yeah.
to notice them, but you can go in and do that once there's been an opportunity for them to get their violation and an order to remedy, board the house up by X date, and the building inspector sets that date. And then, you know, if you have a problem, here's
Right.
who you can talk to, and then you can go in. The issue is, just for your notification that it will be done at village expense, and you will then leave.
But what
the
if that property owner boarded them up? Say their windows were broken and doors were broken, and they put the plywood on them because, or the bank did that. And now we just complained about having plywood on doors and
Right.
windows. So how do we,
I thought there was
solve that?
a change to the, maybe it was just discussed in the But at one point, there was, the thought that the village code should be changed to not allow for plywood, but there are other things you can put on vacant windows.
Let's look at it.
Maybe it just wasn't done, but I think the prior board talked about that at one time, I think.
There's an open window over there, they can't close it down. On Cook's Lane, the window's open, but I was told we can't close that.
That second house left to the end,
Yep,
What do you mean it's open? Is it broken or is it just open?
it's open.
it's just wedged open,
Yep.
it's swelled open.
Mhm.
Elise, listen, this is, I need you to, this is gonna be maybe a little bit of work, so please help us with all these,
Same.
this baloney, because this is not the Village of Highland Falls that I was born in.
Yeah.
Doesn't resemble the Village of Highland Falls, yes.
I know this board continues to be concerned about the motel. And I have specified that in order for us to be proactive, we have to have our engineer go up and declare it an imminent danger.
Imminent danger.
Now, this board has yet to do that.
You want the village of engineer, we need the village engineer to say that that's, uninhabitable.
No, that it's
Unsafe.
a danger. As
Okay.
Murph said that it's a hazard to kids if they
Sure
can't
it is.
get in. We have to have an engineer declare it a hazard.
Okay,
But it's in the town.
I hate to have you, would you write that down for me, and I'll make that phone call tomorrow morning? That's not gonna take much at all, you pull up there, you can do it from your car.
Right.
Is that in the town or the village?
It's the village,
The village.
it's the village.
Is this the old school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, Elise, I believe, and if not, there were a lot of meetings over the last year with the Old Guard Hotel, many. A lot of them you were at, some of them might have been on conference calls, but I'm gonna say this, and it might have been a meeting you were not at. I remember being in the room a couple of times, and it was specifically said by us, and them specifically agreeing that they were gonna take that down. Well, I know.
I think
I
the
know.
next step, as I recall, and yes, it's been discussed many times, and where the last communication that I had, I thought that trustee Ramus was going to, and the engineer and the developer were gonna sit down for the construction conference so that they could lay out what gets done, a schedule. Am I incorrect there?
No, you're correct, because I went down to the building, actually, we had to find out who the village engineer for that particular project was.
And it was.
Because we discussed it
Right.
before the last meeting,
Mhm.
and it was noted that previously it was gonna be Mr. Fusco's office. But the board decided that we were going to utilize MHE. With that being said, I contacted, not only the owner applicant, but I contacted the building department and went down and spoke with them, and I said, MHE is the engineer. So it's not up to me to coordinate this meeting. That is the applicant owner to get in touch with the engineer and the building department. I'm just there
Did you let
to,
the-
as the liaison, to see what's going on. I really have no input or authority to tell them what goes on at that pre-construction meeting. That's why we have an engineer.
Okay.
Did you, okay, that's fine. Did anyone tell the applicant that? Did you-
Yes.
Okay, so.
So he knows that MHE
Mhm.
is the engineer.
Who told him, Jim?
I did. And I went down and spoke with the building department and informed them that the board said that MHE was the engineer. I believe it's even in an email that was CC'd to everybody.
It was.
So, we have done our part as far as that. And I told them, just let me know when the meeting is, and if I can make that pre-construction meeting, I will be there. I mean, everybody has their schedules. If I can't make it for some reason, they can just give me the update.
So really, it's in their hands now.
Well,
That's correct.
I'll force it. So that would be one phone call, second issue with the same person, MHE, to set up this pre-construction meeting, which will tell us, I guess while we're barking at this door, that'll tell us when the building's coming down. Am I right? Okay.
You would
Okay.
hope so.
Okay, I'll take care of that tomorrow morning. Okay. Elise, I hate to, one more thing. Let's get our code book out and look at rooms. There's folks renting rooms in areas that is not zoned. There's
Okay.
folks renting rooms at motels, which is
We've been through that one before,
which is not the best thing to do.
right, Jen?
We need to review the code on folks renting rooms in a residential area and motels renting rooms. It's not good.
I think there's already in your code that you cannot rent rooms for more than 29 days.
And so what
It's like
happens,
a short-term rental.
yeah, and so you learn, you make a code and you learn from it, I guess. So I have a motel and I rent a room to you for 29 days. Let's say 29 is the max. I can get around the code by now putting you in the room next door.
Right.
Now you're in a new room for 29 days. You know,
Enforcement is a terrible issue with those things.
it's a terrible issue because I happen to know even by law, there's no, they can't even look at a registration book where you sign in. So no one can even tell how long you have been there. So I'm not sure, but if you could look at that,
I will.
we have a lot of it. It isn't just like one or two, it's more than we want.
And are you also finding it in homes?
Yes, yes.
But it's not, we're not talking Airbnb, we're talking about.
They're claiming it's Airbnb, but the neighbors are claiming it's longer than an Airbnb term.
Could be tougher,
Yeah.
but let's look at it. Let's look at what we have. Yes, sir.
For the couple bigger locations, whether they're motels or such, you can call the county health department. They do spot check certain parts of Orange County all the
Yeah.
time, and they can come and push a little bit on the building department too.
On rooms being rented?
Any facility that is labeled as a motel, they get spot checked by the county health department, but they can come push on.
Jim, I don't like having to say this to you or anyone else. Some of this has to do with the county. Not only Orange County, but Rockland County is sending social service, I don't know how else to put it, social service people up here. I mean, what are we? Keep them down there, put them somewhere else.
That's because they have a list, and whoever has areas like that, they actually send that to those places to have a list there. That's how that's done.
Well, if them doing this, because they got a letter from the county and they're on a list that the county can send someone there.
Right.
Does this law supersede that? Or do we have to bow to that?
I have to look into that.
Okay.
But generally.
It's a good thing to look.
Generally, your zoning laws are
Right.
primary.
Right.
And they, a motel is short-term, not long-term. Certainly, people in your home, if it's Airbnb, it's one thing. If it's a boarding house, it's something else.
So what I think they do is they do it for, what was that one time? They did it for 28 days, and then one day you have to be vacant, and then back to 28 days again?
It doesn't necessarily matter who sends who from where. That doesn't give any property owner the right to own a dump.
Right.
I think
Then
we're
you're back-
talking about apples and watermelons. Anybody can come from anywhere and stay here. But
Yes.
that doesn't mean that property owner gets to have a dump.
Well, that's another issue, the dump. I got one in mind.
We want them to take care of the dump.
Yeah, well,
Get
that's.
rid of the car,
I
take
hate
care
to
of the
say this, but
property.
that, you gotta go back to the building department to get that dump
Well,
fixed up.
all roads lead to down there, unfortunately.
But inside, that's the health department.
Yeah.
Yeah, the health department can cut, it's another agency that you can use to help put pressure on the property owner.
Okay.
So the fire.
Okay, because I'm such a sports guy, and it's, Mary Jane, who's playing tonight? Villanova?
Villanova's playing tonight.
And Michigan.
Start at 7:30, we gotta get going. Such a sports guy.
Great game, Notre Dame.
You got anything?
Yeah, we had a meeting with Orange County representatives on a coalition with the opiate across the country. I already talked to the police chief, I'll be talking to one of the judges, the county legislator, and other people, we're gonna try to get services up here. We're looking for, I've asked for an Al-Anon group for teenagers,
Great.
and a place where kids who are, if it's tough at home, they can come down and see if we can get some counseling going. So that's what we're working
I only
on.
got 3.
That's it.
That's it?
Brian, you and I have spoken about that. That's great. That's great. Thank you. Murph?
So listen, we were talking about Roe Park and the grant that we're getting and all of that, but we do have to do some, I don't want to say the word patchwork, I said it'll be very professionally done work. And we want to watch our money on what we spend. So anyway, on the pool, we're going to look at that, and we can do that in-house. Now this right here would be the patchwork for the playground area, the surface area. It's extremely easy to do this. It's right out of Connecticut. You could have this item in 3 days. They send it right to us. Very, very simple. DPW could do this on them areas. You just cut it out. You have all your mixed colors and everything right here. It comes right in a box. You don't even have to get the jumbo box. You can get the smaller one, which is $120, and you do your patchwork right there. So we have some areas which could be marked out and measured, and you do it right off of this, and it would be very, very affordable. For the basketball court area, I have 2 guys right now that are up there looking at that. I will bring that at the next meeting, because one of them is swearing to me that if you're gonna have this thing redone, I can patch this up real nice for you for the summertime, where you can bounce a basketball on it, and you're not gonna spend a lot of money. So right here, what did we say last time, 55, 6,000? So really, in reality, we're talking maybe about $1,200
For the playground.
for
basketball.
everything, yeah, so.
Good job.
You want that? The other thing I want to talk about, just real quick, is for a while now, a lot of people were saying to me, they were comparing our area, because of West Point, with Annapolis. And I've done a lot of research on that, looked into a lot of things of Annapolis and what they have and what we have in our area. And when you look at the buildings here and you look at the buildings in Annapolis, in a way, they're pretty similar together. They're old, they're rustic, and all of that. And the amenities that they have in Annapolis are basically they have shops, supermarkets, bakeries, all of that stuff up and down on Main Street, some novelty stores. They have the amenities at the base, the naval base there. So in similar, they're the same as us here in the village of Howland Falls. The only problem is, as we discussed for about a half hour tonight, the appearance of Annapolis and the appearance of some areas in Howland Falls are the big difference, okay? And again, I did a lot of research on this. It's unbelievable how close these areas are and looking together. And in this area here, they have a lot of attractions down in Maryland. They have a lot of places to go if you go to visit. Here in our area, being Orange County and just Orange County alone, we have a lot of things that we have here. Amusement parks, and I'm talking just in this area, we have 11. Balloon riding, we have 5. Bicycling, bird watching, boat cruises, there's 7. Fishing is countless. Flying and soaring, if you want to go, there's 3. Golf is all over. Guided tours are countless. Horse-drawn rides, 3 of them in all Orange County around this area. Horseback riding, 8. Horse trails, 15. Hunting, ice skating, marinas, launching, motorcycle parks. There's 39 parks in just this area right around here. Scenic parks, there's big views, there's 6 of them. Spectacular parks, we got Army, we have Orange County Speedway, we have other places, there's swimming. Moral to why I'm saying this, we have everything here in this area. We have to really, and as we said before, we've got to clean this up. We have to really clean this up. The shops and everything else that are in the village of Howland Falls, we're in competition, that's what we are. West Point is next door. West Point, they have their thing going on up there. We have to really stand up and say, you know what? We're going to get it going here. They have things that they do in Annapolis, which is beautiful. I've seen one thing where they had flowers all over Main Street. These weren't put out by anybody. Every shop owner, what they do is they have a big contest. They have these big pails that they put out, and they do the arrangements themselves, and every store did it, and you had to see it, it looked like Bavarian Gardens. So these are all things, again, where when you match both of these places, the Village of Howland Falls being next to West Point Military Academy in Annapolis, we can do it. And again, Joe, as we've been saying tonight, we just gotta clean this up here. I mean, it's gotta be cleaned up, and we keep talking about it, but it's really gotta be cleaned up. Lastly, one thing I have to say is consolidation, as Jim was saying in the back. There's areas that we really, really have to look into consolidation. And be it the police department, be it the DPW, we really, really need to start looking into this. The time is now to do this. It's not after this board's done within the next 3 years now. We really, really have to start looking into the consolidation. There's things going around. It's the Government Reorganization and Citizen Empowerment Act that's been going around now. You're shaking your head, so you've heard of this before. That's going around. It's just important now that we really start getting into this. And that's about all I have.
Jimmy? I call it,
You can have that. I got one.
Thank you.
she's gonna be short, so it'll be good.
A couple of things. So this Friday, April 6th, is Army Day. We're right next to West Point Military Academy. Army Day was set up to acknowledge the United States entry into World War I. So when you see one of the brave men and women that are stationed up here at West Point, I would ask that you thank them for their efforts in standing up and fighting for our freedoms. Like I said, that is Army Day, and I don't even know if there's anybody left from World War I that stood up and fought for our freedoms. But we have a whole new batch of men and women that are proud to do that up at West Point. Just to touch on a couple of things that Mr. Livesey said, Trustee Livesey. Trout season is here. You're absolutely correct, Mark. Down at Hessian Lake, the state has put in over 3,000 fish last week. So get out, get the kids away from their phones and their computers. The state's putting fish in there, along with many other lakes and streams in Orange County. If anybody would like that information, you can go right to the DEC's website. They'll be putting in probably 60 or 70,000 trout throughout the season this year. So there's plenty to do out there. Also on the DEC website, and we spoke about it in the past, was the coyotes. I've seen in the paper there's some coyote issues in the village. It is the season, they're breeding, the pups are in the dens, they're coming out. Mary Jane said she was going to put something in the paper. Again, the DEC website has a lot of great information on how you can avoid attracting them into your neighborhood. So I just would suggest that you go there. Also, I'm going to have some energy saving tips. This comes right from the Energy Department. Talks about different ways during the spring and summer how you can reduce your energy costs, whether it be through installation, how to operate your thermostats. They have programs out there where they will actually come in and give you money to put new thermostats in. There's a lot of different things that you can do, going outside and cleaning your actual vents and everything. It really makes for a more efficient way for you to cool your house. If anybody wants that information, you can go to www.energy.gov, and in that particular website they have a slew of information that would be helpful.
I want you to stay away from DEC websites for a month.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
I can't.
Try it.
Okay, we've been emphasizing sort of the negative this evening about derelict cars and buildings, but I do want to point out that we are blessed in this community with a number of organizations and a lot of hardworking people that go out and try to make the community better, put out flowers. April 21st, the Fort Montgomery Battle Site Association, in combination with the Rotary Club, will be doing the highway cleanup. So a lot of the trash, which is, I think it's worse than it's ever been, so a lot's going to be picked up. And then we have not only Rotary, Vision, the Garden Club, Lady Cliff Park Group, the Community Garden, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Art Walk. All of these organizations are working hard to make our community look better.
Absolutely.
And the beautification committee that was formed has representatives from all of the 5 of those groups. And Trustee Alward and I will be hosting a forum with representation from all of those groups, trying to come up with some guidelines and do a little planning, so we're not working across purposes, and we might have a more coordinated effect, so we don't, for instance, and this is the easiest example, with furniture, street furniture, we need to specify that those beautiful black benches that Vision has purchased for the community, that those become the standard. So we have a nice organized appearance. And as much as I would like us to be able to say we're just like Annapolis, Annapolis is the capital
The
of
big
the
difference.
state. It's also a very small footprint compared to West Point. We don't have the tax base, and as long as West Point is, and I'm using the words of Orange County planning, the fortress economy, we have to be really proactive, and these
Right.
groups are going to help us
Absolutely.
with the decorating, make the village look
We could do it.
welcoming. It
We
worked
could
for
do it.
Saratoga Springs, I think it can work here.
We could do it.
Okay, everybody all set?
No, just one thing I remember you were saying, though, you mentioned something which would be great about Stella, the historian, actually, and having something. Did we ever?
I mean, Stella, I don't know if you mean this, Stella needs to be on the ground floor.
Right, and that's what I mean.
I want folks to know in this community that if you ever came up to the second floor, you'd be shocked to
Right.
see what Stella Bailey has.
Mhm.
She's one of a kind
Mhm.
herself. She needs to be on the ground floor. Of course, that takes rent, you know, and that's
Mhm.
not what the Historical Society has.
Right.
But we're gonna definitely somehow look at that.
Mhm.
Charlie, I'm glad that you brought up it's called the Village Beautification Committee. I've put it together, I've asked you and Brian to help be the liaisons to them and to the village board. But I'll just say it a little different, that we're gonna try with this Village Beautification Group, and we've asked everyone who has done beautification to come in and participate. Some have said yes, the majority, some have said no.
I think
Oh.
they're all on board.
Yeah, well, that'll come and go, but.
Well, they'll be
And that's
present.
okay. But the village board, this committee will recommend to the village board any beautification projects. That's how that's gonna work, right?
Well, if it's village money, but more
If it's a
importantly.
village property,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah, we can't dictate what you put on your house at Christmas.
But hopefully we can get all of these different.
Well, that's up to them,
groups
yeah, that's up to them to wanna come and participate in this.
Have the same
But-
type of flower.
That's right, that's exactly it. Okay, so thank you, both of you, for doing that. I'm gonna be at the first meeting, but that'll be it probably. So, public comment, is there any public comment? Yes,
Ray Devereaux, 48 Andrea Road Parkway. I'd like to compliment the board on what I deem a very productive meeting. And I even wore my hearing aid to honor you. But, Merv, I can provide you a copy, a report that was made, former supervisor years ago, 1980, 38 years ago. It's amazing how time passes. And so if you wish, I'll get a copy of
Sure.
that to you, okay?
Appreciate
I
it.
think you'd find it interesting.
Mhm.
And I think that you initiated the board tonight on reorganization, and I'm just curious whether anything has moved on that since the last meeting, since you said the end of the month you'd have something, you know.
I don't know, what are you talking about?
Oh,
Oh, you didn't
Consolidation.
say that.
for reorgan-
No, you can ask every meeting, Mr. Devereaux. The answer this week is a continuation from the last time you asked. As I told you, the last time you asked, that the police department chief and village board were given to the end of March to submit to Tim, who's the contractor, Charlie, I said the contractor that they round, that
Round out
they,
consultant.
yeah. And to give the update, because what the information he had about the police department was totally inaccurate. So, what was Friday's date? The 20th, this past Friday, Tim received that report. So now, I'm assuming Tim will have to have time to read it, and then the ball's in his court to get back to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for a personnel issue.
Motion to go into exec.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, thank you.
Is this on?